There's a reason I almost didn't upload this. There's a silent behavior women and people respond to immediately, and the men who use it don't even realize they're doing it. Attraction isn't created by saying the right things. It's created by who you are when you're not talking. And today I'm going to show you 6 phrases that don't just attract people, they expose your internal state. And once you understand it, conversations stop feeling forced, people lean in, and attention comes to you instead of being chased. Phrase 1. Tell me more about that. This phrase does something most men never learn to do. It removes you from competition. Most conversations are ego battles. Someone speaks, and the listener immediately one-ups, advises, redirects, performs intelligence. That's why conversations feel exhausting. But when you say, "Tell me more about that," and then stop, you send a rare signal. I'm not here to prove anything. And here's the psychological kicker. People don't attach to interesting men. They attach to men who make them feel interesting. That's why women remember certain men for years, even if nothing happened. You weren't impressive. You were safe without being needy. That's presence. Phrase 2. I don't know. This one destroys fake confidence instantly. Most men think confidence means having answers. Psychology says the opposite. Men who pretend to know everything trigger distrust. Why? Because the brain detects incongruence faster than logic. Now imagine a man who calmly says, "I don't know." No apology, no explanation, no insecurity. This signals intellectual honesty, emotional steadiness, non-defensiveness. Socrates built an entire philosophy on this. True wisdom begins where ego ends. And here's what happens socially. When you stop pretending, people stop testing you. Phrase 3. That sounds hard. This one separates emotionally mature men from men who try to fix emotions. When someone shares pain, stress, or failure, most men rush to solutions. But psychologically, unsolicited fixing communicates, "I'm uncomfortable with your emotion." Instead, say, "That sounds hard," then stop. This does something powerful. It regulates the other person's nervous system. You're not absorbing their emotion. You're holding space without collapsing. That's masculine calm. That's why emotionally grounded men feel safe, and why people open up around them without knowing why. Phrase 4. Silence, the dangerous one. This is the one most men fail, because silence exposes you. Most men fill space because they're afraid of being judged, of being boring, of not being enough. So they talk, but silence from a centered man creates pressure. In social psychology, this is called frame control. Silence says, "I'm not rushing for approval." Watch men who dominate conversations long term. They speak less. They pause. They let moments breathe. And when they speak, their words land. Stoicism teaches this clearly. If silence makes you anxious, you're not comfortable with yourself yet. And people feel that. Phrase 5. I appreciate you. This phrase creates emotional imprinting. Thank you acknowledges behavior. I appreciate you acknowledges identity. Used rarely, it hits deep. Why? Because most people are starved for recognition, not praise. Men who can express appreciation without attachment signal emotional abundance, and abundance attracts trust. Phrase 6. No. This is the ultimate filter. Men who can't say no communicate. My boundaries depend on your approval. Men who can say no calmly communicate. I value my time more than validation. Here's the psychological truth. Every time you say yes out of fear, you lower your perceived value, socially and romantically. A grounded no increases respect instantly, not because it's aggressive, but because it's self-respect in action. The core psychology. Here's what psychology tells us. Human beings don't respond to words. They respond to emotional signals behind words. Your nervous system is talking before your mouth does. That's why, rehearsed, confidence feels hollow, charisma can't be faked long-term, and silence from the right man feels heavier than noise from everyone else. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. Presence beats performance. Every phrase you're about to hear works for one reason only. It signals self-containment, and self-containment is magnetic. All 6 phrases work for one reason. They expose who you are when there's nothing to hide behind. No performance, no proving, no scrambling for approval, just presence. Attraction doesn't come from adding more personality, more charm, more cleverness. It comes from subtraction, from removing the behaviors that quietly leak insecurity, the need to be liked, the urge to explain yourself, the impulse to fill silence, the habit of chasing validation, the fear of not being enough unless you're doing something. Most men never notice these patterns because they feel normal, they feel polite, they feel responsible, but socially and emotionally, they drain your power. The moment you stop trying to be impressive, people stop evaluating you, and when evaluation ends, connection begins. That's the shift most men never make. You stop performing for the room and start anchoring the room. You don't need to dominate. You don't need to impress. You don't need to say more. Your calm becomes the signal. Your restraint becomes the authority. Your silence becomes the gravity. And people feel it instantly before they understand it logically. If this hits something real in you, it's because this isn't theory. It's not a trick. It's not a tactic. It's not a personality hack. It's how social and emotional power actually works. Presence always outperforms performance. Stillness always outlasts noise. And the man who doesn't need the moment is the man the moment responds to. So don't try to use all 6 phrases at once. That would miss the point. Choose one. Practice it deliberately. Notice how people slow down around you, how conversations deepen, how attention stops feeling forced. Because once your presence changes, everything else follows naturally. To support this channel, like this video, most men won't subscribe to a channel like this. It doesn't entertain their ego. It challenges it. But if you're serious about becoming a man who leads himself first, who doesn't leak energy, who doesn't explain himself, who doesn't need approval to feel solid, then subscribe for long-form psychology, stoic clarity, and tools that change how people respond to you permanently, not temporarily. And comment below. Which one are you going to practice first? Not to impress anyone, but to become unmovable. Stay dangerous. Stay stoic.